it's Dussehra across the country, and there's no better place to ring it in than Mysuru. The iconic Mysore Palace is decked up for the 10-day festivities as the town finds itself well into the festive season. The Wadiyars of Mysore, remember, have had a long-time association with Dussehra in the city, and the images of festivity that you see are courtesy of the legacy and the heritage that the festival has for itself. Central. Right, you're watching South Central right here on ET Now, and on to our top story first. Social media platform X has said it is quote-unquote deeply concerned by the Karnataka High Court's orders surrounding content removal. Tech billionaire Elon Musk's social media platform, formerly known as Twitter, has pointed out that the court's order to comply with government directions on taking content down could happen through the state's online portal Sahyog, based on mere allegations of illegality. My colleague Sumita joins us now to break down the course of action for X. Sumita, over to you.
That's right, a big development as far as the case between X Corp and the Government of India is concerned. X Corp, in a statement, has expressed concerns with respect to the recent order from Karnataka High Court. The company states that the order will allow millions of police officers to issue arbitrary takedown orders. In fact, these takedown orders, it says, could happen through a secretive online portal called X. In the statement, X also suggests that Sahyog enables officers to order content removal that's based solely on allegations of illegality without a judicial review, and that X respects and complies with Indian law. But this order fails to address the core constitutional issues. It further goes on to suggest that this order is inconsistent with Bombay High Court's recent ruling that a similar regime was unconstitutional. In fact, the company goes on to say further that they respectfully disagree with the view that they have no right to raise these concerns because of our incorporation abroad, and X contributes significantly to public discourse in India, and the voice of our users is at the heart of this platform. Remember, the company is also going to be appealing against this order. But let's understand what the case essentially was. Well, the Karnataka High Court a couple of days back had rejected a plea that was filed by X Corp, and X had then challenged orders by the central state authorities. This plea was essentially against takedown orders and, of course, Sahyog portal. So in that case, X Corp had contended that the IT Act and some sections of it do not authorize blocking orders, to which the Karnataka High Court in a ruling last week suggested that social media must be regulated, and every sovereign state regulates it, and of course the rules should be followed in India as well, and this cannot be branded as unlawful, and platforms overall must accept accountability. Now, with respect to this particular section of the IT Act is concerned, section 79(3)(b, well, the court suggested that it is an instrument of public good. In fact, the Justice Naga Prasanna, who was hearing the case, suggested that unregulated speech under the guise of liberty becomes a license to lawlessness.
Well, they're embroiled in that court case against, of course, the government of Karnataka. Now, staying with tech, Chennai-based tech giant Zoho Corp has reported a 100x spike in traffic on its new messaging app Arate in just 3 days. In a social media post, the company's founder and now chief scientist Sridhar Vembu said that the company was shoring up its infrastructure as it projects another 100-fold increase in traffic over the next few days. Zoho has been in focus ever since Union Minister for IT, Ashwini Vaishnav, announced that the company was moving on to Zoho in a clear push for Swadeshi or homegrown tech. Incidentally, the company's CEO Mani Vembu told ET Now late last week that the messaging app Arate was just one of the many consumer tech products under development at Zoho.
Arate is being talked about. So we have it in, say, early access phase, and we are looking at, like, right, say, early user feedbacks have come and we are improving it, and that's in the pipeline. So you could have seen in the internet. So a lot of people are now trying it, and there are a lot of feedback that is coming in. So we are accelerating the effort to launch Arate. And so other things, yeah, we keep evaluating our options because we want to, like, right, say, play to our strength, and we also want to see, like, right, say, where all we could actually really make a difference.
Right, shifting focus to real estate now, a recent ANAROC report for the July to September period has highlighted declining residential sales volumes across the top 7 property markets across India. In the south, both Bengaluru and Hyderabad saw quarter and yearly decreases in the number of residential units sold, buckled the trend, seeing both quarterly and year-on-year sales in terms of units sold increase by 6% and 33% respectively. My colleague Snehi joins us to break down some of these numbers.
Well, yes, the latest ANAROC report indicates the kind of supply and the absorption that we've seen pan-India for Q3 calendar year 2025. And here's what they have to say. Housing sales volumes dipped 9% year-on-year on a pan-India basis for top 7 cities, but the total sales value was up 14%. So that's an interesting phenomenon to note. And let's focus on some South Indian states. Let's talk about Bengaluru first. The city saw an addition of 15,190 units in Q3, which is down 5% on a year-on-year basis and a cut of 1% sequentially. Out of this, they sold 14,835 units, a cut of 1% year-on-year and 2% on a sequential basis. If you talk about the price range, roughly 79% of this total new supply was added in the 80 lakh to 2.5 crore budget segment. So that's the demographics of when it comes to the Bengaluru's real estate market. Moving to Hyderabad then, they added 8,630 units in Q3, which is down a whopping 38% on a year-on-year basis and 22% on a sequential basis. So weak addition coming in of units in the Hyderabad market. They managed to sell, however, 11,305 units, which is still down 11% year-on-year and 2% on a sequential basis. A whopping 87% of the new supply was added in the premium, luxury and ultra-luxury segments that is priced above 80 lakh. Lastly, let's talk about Chennai. They added 6,395 units in Q3, which is up 38% on a year-on-year basis. But what really stands out is that it is down 25% sequentially. While that was about how much new supply was added, let's talk about what the sales look like, because these are some interesting numbers. Because if you take a look at their sales, Chennai homes sold in Q3 was 6,010 units, which is up 33% on a year-on-year basis and also up 6% on a sequential basis. One of the few cities in the country that stands out. And the price range, so over 93% of the new supply was added in the mid, upper mid and luxury segment, priced between 40 lakh and 2.5 crore rupees. So that's the demographics and that's the trends of what the real estate supply addition as well as the sales have looked like for some top South Indian cities.
Right, so going by these sales trajectories for July to September, upward pricing trends and residential launches, there's a good chance that Brigade Enterprises' FY26 sales numbers will heavily depend on timely launches. That's the word coming in from the company's managing director, Pavitra Shankar, who sat down with me for an exclusive chat where she said that project approvals across Chennai, Bengaluru and Hyderabad were tightening, and this could turn out to be a key factor in the company's launch pipeline.
Overall, the outlook is good. I will also qualify by saying we're generally compared to what happened last year or the year before, recent trends, right? So the last couple of years have been the best that anyone could have asked for in this industry. So I've been saying that to continue to expect things to be the best ever for the longest amount of time is not a realistic expectation. But it's also different this time round because most of the developers who do have a significant presence today have very, very strong balance sheets. We all understand the customer in terms of the kind of product that they need, the kind of sales velocity that we need to manage our projects. And more than anything, almost a large proportion of major players today are listed.
Right.
And when that happens, I think there's a lot of transparency and clarity in terms of business plans. And it also means that when people are taking up projects, they're very clear how they're going to be monetizing those projects, and there's a very clear visibility on that front.
Right.
So I think all the projects coming out today are very clued in terms of what the product should be, how much it should cost, whether it's going to meet the customer's sweet spot in terms of their budget, all of those things. And I still feel that the market is looking pretty good. In terms of price increases, we definitely are all launching projects at a very healthy price number. So for us, if I'm speaking for Brigade, I would say we don't expect to see double-digit price increases over the next few years. I think that would be a little difficult to say to the industry at large, because we've just experienced that.
Yes.
In Bangalore, in Chennai, in Hyderabad, and these are our key markets of focus, we've seen our own portfolio literally go up 50% in terms of pricing. Of course, it's a combination of different kind of product. So here in Chennai, we've launched very high-end product like Brigade Icon, Brigade Altius. So that's in general at a higher price than what was considered mid-segment earlier. Of course, these are high-end products as well. But even in mid-segment, we've seen that pricing increase. And Bangalore specifically has seen a very dramatic price increase. So all of those things mean the outlook is still very good. If there is a rate cut, for sure, again, that's a sentiment thing. And that is what drives the entire market. So all this news that we're hearing about tariffs and jobs and whatever it may be, yesterday's news about H-1B visas, all of those things impact sentiment. But I think today we're also well-versed to, well-used to sort of hearing a lot of conflicting news, but still knowing that on ground there is still very healthy demand uptake.
Right. So given the fact that you had 2 great years and a lot of developers, A-grade developers, including yourself, are looking at premiumization and capitalizing on the market that exists for the same, do you feel that these A-grade developers in, let's say, the top 8 property markets could see a high single-digit growth rate year on year going forward?
Yeah, again, it depends on like-to-like. In like-to-like product, I think that's what I would think so. In terms of product, specific project pricing. But, per developer, it's really a function of what is their strategy. Are they growing in another market? What kind of product are they putting out there?
Welcome back. You're watching South Central, India's only business bulletin dedicated to all that's happening across the 5 states of South India, covering business and beyond. Now, 2 days after the deadly stampede in Tamil Nadu's Karur, the death toll has climbed to 41. On Saturday, a crowd of well over 25,000 individuals converged at a political rally organized by actor-turned-politician Vijay, who, along with his party, the Tamil Nadu Vetri Karagam, will make a political debut in Tamil Nadu's 2026 assembly elections. An ensuing stampede led to multiple deaths, mainly that of women and children, even as many others were admitted in hospital with injuries. Now, while Vijay himself has faced scrutiny and criticism for not visiting the families of those affected immediately after the tragedy, questions have also been levelled at the Tamil Nadu government for not providing a suitable venue for a gathering of the scale that was witnessed on September 27th. Earlier today, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman descended on Karur to meet with the families and the victims and those injured. In fact, Vijay's party, the TVK, has also filed a case at the Madras High Court alleging sabotage on the part of the ruling DMK and requesting no obstruction to its party president visiting the families of those affected. In fact, let's listen into what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said when she visited the families of those affected by that tragic stampede.
No time is a bad time for setting proper SOP for public matters, particularly where there will be huge assemblies of people, particularly women, children, all families coming. There is no hesitation. In fact, we are probably rather too late. We should, not just one state, all over the country, we should have a better way of public gathering management.
Right, to analyze the political fallout of that rather tragic event, I'm now joined by a well-known voice from Tamil Nadu's political commentary circles, Sumant Raman. Mr. Sumant, great to have you with us here as always. First up, first question, the more obvious one, where does the buck stop really, Mr. Sumant? Is it a case of the Tamil Nadu government having to take accountability? Does the buck stop at Vijay's political party, the TVK, for ensuring safety at the event? Is it even a case of either or in the first place? What is the issue and who takes blame going forth, Mr. Sumant?
Jude, the blame should go equally to Vijay, the TVK, and the state government. It is, at the end of the day, the responsibility of the state government to maintain law and order and crowd control. They seem to have failed miserably at it. Having said that, Mr. Vijay has been extremely irresponsible. Previous rallies, similar things happened. It was a miracle that nobody lost their lives or got injured. Multiple times, people have pointed out that his rallies are looking very dangerous. The crowds are going out of control. In one of the rallies, people were sitting on top of trees and jumping onto his campaign vehicle. In some rallies, they were climbing on electric poles. So I think that, look, he has a responsibility too. And the fact that he has not even visited the families, I mean, that is simply appalling. That shows extraordinarily bad leadership. So I think that while it's easy for us to put the blame on Vijay alone, the local administration must be asked very, very difficult questions. Why was this place allotted, which was such a narrow area where 10,000 people were supposed to congregate? Why were 30,000 people allowed into that venue? So, a lot of questions need to be asked of both the district administration and the TVK. And eventually, between them, there's been a judicial commission of inquiry that's been appointed. Maybe we will know who is responsible for this in due course.
Right, but from a political perspective, Mr. Sumant, the fact remains that the DMK has pivoted or the ruling government under the DMK rather has pivoted in little or no time at all, choosing to actually go about making it seem like there's a whole lot being done on the ground now that the tragedy has taken place. So you'd reckon that from a political standpoint, it's probably advantage DMK given the kind of turnaround and pivoting that this government has displayed in the immediate aftermath of the tragedy?
I'm not very sure of that, Jude. They seem to be overdoing it to claim to score political brownie points. Look, there was a illicit liquor tragedy in Kallakurchi a few months ago. More than 50 people lost their lives, and the chief minister did not visit like this kind of alacrity. Within few hours, he was on a private, special aircraft to Karur. So I think that you have to ask questions as to why so much of interest has been shown. Half a dozen ministers turned up. I can understand there was a stampede at the Chennai air show where people lost their lives. There have been similar incidents, and of course, Kallakurchi, the illicit liquor one, was a major incident. And this kind of alacrity was never seen. Now suddenly everyone is there on the spot. From a relief perspective, it is a welcome sign to see it from a government acting with such alacrity. But then their friendly DMK journalists, as we call them in Tamil Nadu, they are all over the place going on social media trying to pull the entire blame on Vijay. Look, the government of the day is as culpable when any such tragedy happens. You cannot put the blame only on the TVK. TVK
Right.
has behaved
Right.
irresponsibly. They should be prosecuted. There is no doubt. But it's not only their fault, it
Right.
is also the state
Right, Mr.
government's
Sumant.
fault.
Right. No doubt. Absolutely. The fact remains, of course, that this is a massive tragedy. There are multiple stakeholders involved, and one can only hope that the victims see some succor at the end of the day, even after going through all of this. On that note, Mr. Sumant, always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for joining us with your views. While on that note, we'll have to call it wraps here on our debut episode of South Central. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, this is India's first and only bulletin where we dedicate half an hour to all that's concerning South India, business and beyond. That was South Central. Thanks so much for tuning in. Keep watching ET Now for more. It's goodbye from us.